spot, bringing stats like a kingpin. MMA knowledge meets his nephews all lean in. Breaking down fights, calling stat daddy supreme. On just a tip show, he's cooking up a dream. Uncle Weezy, he the man. Dropping fight facts, got it all on hand. He the stat attack grand. MMA guru, more than just a fan. Wanna know the numbers? Weezy got them cataloged. From the fighters reach down to how many times they dog. Just a tip living, breaking it down slick. Hit you with the knowledge, won't miss a single trick. Uncle Weezy, he the man. Dropping fight facts, got it all on hand. He the stat attack grand. MMA guru, more than just a fan. Balls deep predictions, he be making those calls. Getting in the details, opponents feeling small. From jabs to takedowns, got the whole fight ID. Uncle Weezy spitting truth, no lie, keep it G. Blow the horn, blow the horn. Stat Daddy Weezy not showing no scorn. Fight night kingdom, he wearing the crown. Break it down for the peeps, never looking like a clown.
Oh, yes. What's going on, everybody? It is Friday afternoon here. We had the UFC 304 weigh-ins earlier today. Some shenanigans on the scales. Some really weird stuff that whoever was weighing people in, I don't know if it was Mark Ratner, was quick on that scale, especially with the Makayev fight. But, you know, hey, it's in England. Pretty much everybody made weight except for Jake Hadley, who was a short notice fighter who nearly kills himself to get to 125. So I don't think it's that big of a deal that Jake missed by one. It was going to be a tough cut for him anyway, even getting down to 136. But it looks like all the fights are still on. Even Alice Ardeline, who was a short notice fighter, made weight at the very last minute of the weigh-in. So we got 14 fights. We got a lot of fights to bet on here, and we got a lot of options in the hopper for this week's Greasy 4-leg parlay. How are we going to put it together? How are we going to make sure that this one does a little bit better than last week's? Look, last week we hit 3 out of 4 legs. When I was doing the members-only Patreon performance of probability with my guy DFS by the numbers, I literally told people that if you bet on the Kelleher Gibson fight that you had a gambling problem and that you should call 1-800-GAMBLER. And what did I do? I put the over 1.5 rounds for Kelleher in that parlay, and I actually said, the words came out of my mouth, the only way that this doesn't cash is if Brian Kelleher is completely and totally washed. So we lost. All the 3 other legs hit. It was like plus 900. If Kelleher wasn't completely washed and could have just lasted 7.5 minutes with Cody Gibson, which is basically something that everybody who's ever fought Cody Gibson has done. Ugh, brutal. But here we are. We got to get this one here. So we've got some work to do, you guys. Let's just get right into it. I'll share my screen with you. Let's go entire screen right there. We've got these fights up here on BetRivers Sportsbook. I'll also put it up here on DraftKings because DraftKings does have a profit boost for every pay-per-view. So we might get a better price actually on DraftKings if we use the profit boost, but I do know that the prices are pretty much worse on every one here. So we'll see where it comes out on both of them, and then you can kind of choose where you want to play it. But check out the Patreon, check out the Dub Club. That's where you get access to the subscriber only content that we do every week for balls deep breakdowns, where we do about 2 to 2.5 hours on the card and go in depth with my fight write-ups to kind of give you all the angles of a fight, so that if you're looking into one particular fight that you're betting on, you can kind of spend those 10 or 15 minutes that we'll spend on that fight going through the trends, going through the advantages, going through the betting win conditions based on prior performance, going through the summary of the fight, the pick, the best bets, all that stuff. It's all available on the Patreon. If you are a do-it-yourself gambler, if you're somebody that just doesn't follow other people's tips but wants to put in your own work do your own research. My Patreon is going to allow you to be able to really go deep, balls deep, ladies and gentlemen, on all of the factors of the fight that do matter. It's a great research tool to help you become better gamblers on your own. So check out the Patreon. $10 a month for the advanced stats package, $25 a month for the probability package, where we use my betting models for over, under, and prop bets to match up with our stylistic reads and the fight write-ups that we have to find the best plus EV bets of the week. So if you feel like supporting the work, you're not just supporting me for nothing. You're getting a lot of research and statistics and benchmarking back in return. So please consider joining that Patreon. $25 a month for the probability tier, and that is a great way to make it so that you can really consider all the angles before you make your bets. But I've considered the angles here. Leg one of the Greasy 4-leg parlay this week was down to two different choices. It was either going to be Mick Parkin by decision or Keelan Loughran by decision. And it looked like Loughran had kind of a tough weight cut, as did Hadley. So I just decided to go with Mick Parkin by decision. I do believe that as long as this fight is on the feet, it's going to be very close, and that Lucas Bresky is going to be very competitive because Lucas does a little bit more. He throws a lot more volume than Mick does, and Mick just hasn't flashed that power yet at the UFC level. And I feel like if he does, he can absolutely get Lucas Bresky out of there. I'm not a believer in Bresky's durability. However, I'm also not a believer yet in the power of Mick Parkin at the UFC level. He does seem somebody like that's a very clean boxer and is very comfortable just sitting on the outside and outpointing his opponents. But I think Mick's going to have to mix in the wrestling here, and we know that that he has that in his back pocket. He showed it off against a smaller opponent in Kyle Machado 2 fights ago, and Lucas Bresky's a smaller opponent. So I think we're going to see Mick kind of mix in that grappling, kind of try to tire out Lucas a little bit early, and if he does that, I think he can cruise to a decision here and find a way not to finish Bresky so that we make it to full 15 and that the hometown judges back him, even if it's a close fight here. So, yeah, it was going to be Keelan Loughran or Mick Parkin by decision. I wound up going with Parkin because it did look like Loughran and Hadley kind of both had tough weight cuts, so I just didn't want to worry about that fight having to go the full 15. I think this one will, although if somebody does get a finish, it's going to be Mick Parkin. So I just got to hope that this isn't the fight that he decides to show some murderous power punching, that he does what he's done the last 3 and just kind of pick his opponent apart on his way to a decision. So if we go to winning method up here, we're going to take Mick Parkin by decision, which is plus 100 on DraftKings Sportsbook. And here, Mick Parkin by decision is plus 112. So we get a little bit better price here on BetRivers Sportsbook. Leg 2 is going to be the Christian Leroy Duncan money line. I'm very high on Christian Leroy Duncan. This guy, you can't teach athleticism, you can't teach height, you can't teach length, and he's got all 3. And I really believe that Duncan's grappling game is very underrated. His anti-grappling, I think, is very good. Very strong, very athletic, and at range, this guy is just a nightmare to deal with. The Petrosian fight didn't go his way, but that was still a very close fight against somebody that's, been a kickboxer for longer than Christian Leroy Duncan has. So I do think that Duncan's going to get the job done here at home. I think he's still improving. This guy is still on the right side of 30 years old. And I don't think that Gregory, I think there's a big durability advantage here on the Christian Leroy Duncan side. You got 23 amateur fights. You got 11 professional fights, and you've never been finished. Christian's the more durable guy. I think he's going to flash more power on the feet as well if he lands his kicks. And I think the conditioning is excellent. I think the anti-grappling is excellent. And I think he might either win a decision here, but I think it's a little more likely that he does find a big shot, finish the fight, and knock out Gregory Rodriguez. So leg number 2 of the Greasy 4-legger this week is going to be the Christian Leroy Duncan money line. And it's minus 137 on BetRivers Sportsbook. And over here, It's minus 135. So we're at 248 on DraftKings Sportsbook, and we're up 267 right now on BetRivers Sportsbook. Leg number 3 is going to be Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. Tom Aspinall to shave the ass of Curtis Blades. And we're going to do it so that we can get the money line, which is currently at minus 400. And we're going to take it to win in rounds 1 or 2 at minus 177, because Tom Aspinall has never won a fight that's went past 7.5 minutes. So we're just going to get Tom by his best win condition here. And if this fight does go past 10 minutes, I think it favors Blades. So I think instead of laying minus 400 as a parlay piece for Aspinall, let's just take him to win how he always wins, which is explosively early in the fight. Let's not count on his minute winning abilities against a great wrestler and a guy with great cardio for the division in Curtis Blades. Let's pick Tom to win the way he always does, via ass shaving, via a brutal knockout or a slick submission on the ground. And I think he could get either here. I think probably Tom is almost as likely to get a takedown here as Curtis is. You know, we really haven't seen Curtis off of his back, how he looks there yet, because Almeida was taking him down a lot in the first round, but he never really got to the point where he was in a dominant position or landing heavy ground and pound against Curtis. But, you know, Gilton's a 205er. You know, Gilton's a guy who was weighing in at 202 when he was fighting at 205. Tom Aspinall is a statue of a man, a gigantic, heavy hitting heavyweight. So I think Tom's going to shave his ass. I think he's going to win and win dominantly. And we got to pick him to win in a way that we think he always wins, which will give us a much better price than if we just pay up on the money line. So let's go to round here. Scroll down to Tom Aspinall rounds 1 or 2 is minus 177. Now on DraftKings, they're on to this one. If you go to fight parlays and you go to winner and group of rounds, you're going to scroll down here, and we get Tom Aspinall to win in rounds 1 or 2 is minus 225 on DraftKings Sportsbook, compared to minus 177 on BetRivers Sportsbook. So we're obviously going to get a much better price on this parlay on BetRivers Sportsbook. We're up to plus 476 there. Leg number 4, a nice wide leg that we can hedge out on should all 3 of these legs cash, is going to be the Leon Edwards money line at minus 265. I think Leon is going to win this fight and win it fairly comfortably. I think there are paths for Bilal, but what scares me about the Bilal money line this week is Bilal's not a finisher. He really never has been. He's never even landed a knockdown at the UFC level. And, you know, I mean, it's not like Leon Edwards hasn't been in there against phenomenal wrestlers. His last 3 fights, Kamaru Usman twice, Colby Covington once. So this guy is definitely somebody that is used to offensive wrestling, and he can handle it fairly well. Bilal's going to need to win a decision to win this fight. And he's going to need to win a decision in Manchester, England against the hometown boy in Leon Edwards. You know, he's going to need to win it being the challenger and not the champion. And the champion usually gets those close decisions if they are close. And then I just don't think that the UFC is going to give somebody like Bilal Muhammad a fair shake. I won't get into why. I touched on it briefly at the end of probability this week, but I would be slack-jawed if Bilal went out there and won a decision. And I mean, like, even if he won 4 rounds fairly convincingly and Leon won 1, I would still, after watching that, say Leon Edwards is going to win this either by split or by a unanimous 48-47. I just don't think that. I think that even if Bilal wins this fight by decision, that they're going to read Leon Edwards' name as the winner of the fight afterwards. Shout out to my guy Lou Betya. He brought out a great point for this fight, because he was talking about yam bags for this fight. We've seen Leon Edwards, grab the fence a number of times. We've seen him poke Bilal Muhammad in the eye a couple of times. A 5-round fight that's most likely favored to go the distance almost 2/3 of the time. It's going to give you 25 minutes to find a point deduction, and it could potentially give you a draw as well. So I feel like after Lou Betya brought this up to me, that a point deduction play and a draw play are very interesting. I mean, you don't have to put much down. It could be just something you throw out there. 0.05 units on a draw will return you on some sites 4 units. A point deduction is a 20-to-1 shot. You could put a little bit on that and just say, hey, I'm hoping for an eye poke or a nut shot or a fence grab or a headbutt or some shit. So, those are some angles I like for this fight. But I think Leon Edwards is going to cash this bet. So if we put the minus 265 in there, you see that comes out to plus 695 on BetRivers Sportsbook. And on and also, we got to bring up, I mean, it's not going to be nearly as good as we look at plus 604. So big difference between plus 604 and plus 695 for BetRivers. But keep in mind, you can add in that parlay boost that DraftKings is offering you this week to get an even better price. So just a quick recap here. Leg number 1, Mick Parkin to win by decision at plus 112. Leg number 2, Christian Leroy Duncan's money line at minus 137. I think he's a phenomenal prospect with a really high ceiling. This guy's the real deal. And I think he's just going to be getting better and adding to that skill set and really sharpening up his game. I think this is a great showcase spot for him against the guy with a 6-2 UFC record that I think he's still the much better striker than. Tom Aspinall, and still UFC interim heavyweight champion, Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week, looking to get it done in rounds 1 or 2 at minus 177. Leg number 4, and still Leon Scott money line at minus 265 brings us up to plus 695 on BetRivers Sportsbook. Your Greasy 4-legger this week. What's up with you guys in the chat? Let me holler at y'all. We got my guy Olajuwon Dream, always first in the room, always letting us know that it's time to get greasy. Let's go, Olajuwon Dream. Good to see you hanging out. And we got my guy Lou Betya in here, Weezy. He's given us the generational wealth play of the week. Play the you don't parlay them, but you play the draw at plus 6,600, and you play the yam bags at plus 2,000-ish. Maybe it's plus 1,500 right now. Let's see where it is on DraftKings. If we go up here to fight lines and we go to, what is it? Fight props? Point deduction. So we got point deduction here. Point to be deducted plus 2,000. Yeah, that's a great play, dude. It's a fucking big number for a 5-round fight. I'm going to probably have a quarter unit on that untracked, but yeah, man, I love it. I love it. Shout out Lou Betya. We got Jeff in the room. What is up, Jeff? Good to see you hanging out in here. We got Cody's in the room saying, what's up, Weezy, my man? Good to see Cody's calls hanging out in here. He says, notifications, gang. I'm glad you got the notification. I'm glad they're not shadow banning me on YouTube. 39 of you hanging out live in here. Appreciate you. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Please consider leaving me a comment down below and let me know what your favorite parlay of the week is, or which leg on this one you think is going to go tits up and sink this thing. But I think we're going to cash in this one. What I'm worried about is Mick Parkin knocking out Lukas Bresky. I don't think I'm really worried about him submitting him. But I like the Christian Leroy Duncan line this week. I really like Aspinall to get that job done in rounds 1 or 2. And I think Leon Edwards' money line is a great parlay piece this week. We got Olajuwon Dream in the room saying, oi, what is up? We got Pickle Kush saying best intro song in the game, no doubt. Yeah, shout out to my guy, the Golden Octagon, Matt. Put that together for me. These kids these days, man, they can do anything with AI. And he put that together for me free of charge. So always shout out to Matt. He's a great dude. And he helped me out with that intro song. And I love it as well, man. Cody's saying, oi, and he's asking if I like anything on PrizePicks this week. So there is something that I like on PrizePicks. We go to MMA. I gave it out on the DraftKings show that we do on my guy Brady's channel. And we went with, I think, fantasy score for Modestas Bukauskas. I went less than 76.5. And here's why. If you look at my probability stats package that's available on the Patreon, we do some really great stuff with on the individual fighters pages. You can look at how many points they score on each promotional DFS site. So if I were to zoom in on this for you, like 150, right? You can see this here. I've got everybody's DraftKings scores, and I got offensive stats per minute, the work rate per minute, how much of that work rate comes from striking, how much of that work rate comes from grappling, offensive stats per fight, points scored per fight, points scored per win. And if you look at Modestas Bukauskas here on PrizePicks, he's only scoring 2.43 PrizePicks points per minute. So let's say Modestas doesn't get a finish here, right? At 2.43 times 15 minutes, if he keeps up that pace, in a non-win, he scores 36.45 points. You can see that there. If he wins, you get a 20-point bonus. So that's only 56.45 points. So for a guy that scores less than 2.5 PrizePicks points a minute, it's going to be really, really hard for him to cover this nut here unless he gets a finish. And Modestas did finish Andreas Mihalidis at this level, but it was a weird meme-like finish. And I don't think, Pragnio is going to be shooting in on takedowns and putting his head into the place where he can get Travis Brown elbowed, knocked out. So short of Bukauskas getting a finish, I don't see how the fuck he can cover 76.5 fantasy score. And then if you look at Bukauskas inside the distance, just him to win inside the distance, according to Bet Online, is plus 240. You need to be 50% confident that he would score that money to bet that over. They're telling you here that there's probably between a 28 and a 29% chance that this guy actually gets a finish. And even if it's a third round finish where you're only getting like 40 points, he still might not cover the nut that he needs to cover in order to get that 70 some odd points. So I do like the under 76.5 fantasy score for Modestas Bukauskas this week. And let me just get this up here. There we go. All right. We got my guy Tyler in the card. Tyler in the room. What is up? 138 MMA saying this is a tough card to make a parlay with any value. Lots of chalk. There's too much chalk. That's why I kind of had to go into the middle ranges here and like pick a prop for Aspinall instead of just laying the minus 400. Find a money line for somebody that I like that's not too juiced, and Christian Leroy Duncan. Get Parkin by his best win condition, in my opinion. Instead of laying minus 300, minus 325, we can get him at plus 112. That's why it's the Greasy four-legger, because we get Greasy. Just like Subhuman Gaucho, who's saying, "Oi, what is up?" And we got Benino saying, "Oi." And he's saying he likes Preston Parsons sub and Wood 2-3. I like both of those spots. I think Preston Parsons is always going to be live for his submission in any fight that he has at the UFC level. And I think Wood 2-3 is his best finish condition for sure. We got he likes Mick here. Parlayed Mick and Sam, got Mick minus 200 and Sam minus 3. Yeah, you beat some very good line movement there. And AN is saying, I'm sorry, Unc, but 5 units on Robo. I wish you luck, AN. I don't have any tracked bets on that fight, but I do like Christian Leroy Duncan to win. Yeah, and dude, I picked Christian Leroy Duncan as the ass shaving of the week in the Petrosian fight as well. So, yeah, after that one really stung. That was a dog shit performance by Christian Leroy Duncan. But, Petrosian beat Rodriguez too. Petrosian has wins over both of these guys. So I'm moving forward from that, knowing that Christian Leroy Duncan's going to put together some really eye-opening performances. I don't know if it's going to be against Gregory Rodriguez, but when this guy wins, he's going to win dominantly and he's going to open some eyes. Good luck to you, though, on the 5-unit bet. We got Olajuwon saying you got CLD money line all minus 125. That's a great price. Aspinall is about to get fraud checked. Said no one, says my guy, Real Fight Picks. Olajuwon Dream saying I don't have the round 1 or 2 option. So just might, you know what, Olajuwon, if you don't have that, I think a great substitute is bet the under 1.5 or the fight doesn't start round 3. I think both of those are correlated with a Aspinall finish. So I think if you don't have the option to make that bet, Aspinall rounds 1 or 2, that you should go with the under 1.5 rounds in the co-main event. That's a great play in my opinion. And it's still at minus 165 or so. So you could actually, the under, I'm looking at Leon Edwards. I'm like, wow, they're going to give us plus 560 on the under. I would have bet that. Yeah, where is it? There it is. Wrong. This one. Oh, did it again. Ass. Okay. Under 1.5 rounds, minus 180. So I think that's as good too. And we got my guy Monk is in the room saying, what's good, Weezy? What's good, chat? Good to see Monk hanging out in here. We always have fun doing the DFS show on our guy Brady's channel. He said, my guy Jester saying, you got this one in the bag, Unc. Let's get it, man. Let's bag this one up at plus 695. I'm ready for it, man. Olajuwon saying, what's up to Unc? Bilal fighting for an entire nation. Different mentality. So fading Leon this week. Yeah, he can fight for that entire nation, but there's going to be 3 people's scorecards that matter in this fight. And those guys work for the UFC. You know, they work for the commission, but really they're company men too. And yeah, I don't think he's going to get a fair shake. I'm not saying that Bilal can't win this fight, but I think he might win the fight and lose it on the scorecards. OD says my guy Monk and my man, and we got Bilal is a split decision machine. He keeps fights close. He's a smart fighter. Bilal money line, but this could be a good hedge for it. Yeah, there you go. Split decision, real fights. Have you watched a fight ever? Colby saying, "Oh, what's up, Colby?" We got Chester saying, "Bilal is fighting for you, Unc. You Chicagoans, yes, sir. Pride of Chicago, Illinois. Bilal Muhammad, stand up. Valley Flow Striking, stand up. Chicago Fight Team, stand up. Yeah, Bilal Muhammad is a local guy, and I'm rooting for him. If Edwards wins, I win a little bit of money. But if Edwards loses, we get Bilal Muhammad as champion in the UFC, and I'm here for it. That is a hardworking, smart fighter. Just an absolute pleasure to bet on. Bilal Muhammad has always been a pleasure to bet on. He really has. He will cash you plus money ticket after plus money ticket after plus money ticket because he doesn't fight stupid. He's well-rounded. He doesn't have any weak spots, and he knows how to find your weak spots and exploit them. So I love Bilal Muhammad. Bilal's been a split decision once out of 19 decisions. Yeah, you can actually find that on my betting template here. You can see each fighter's win condition. Now, this is going to be for 5-round fights, so it's going to be a little bit different because it's a 5-round fight. But if we go to 125 here, and if I just kind of fatten these lines up so that you can see it, resize those rows up to 24. Looks great. You can see that Bilal Muhammad does have 2 wins by unanimous decision and 0 wins by split decision in 5-round fights. And he's neither lost or won a split decision in a 5-round fight at the UFC level. And it looks like he's had 1 fight pre-UFC that was for 5 rounds, and that was won by knockout. So yeah, this row here gives you your win condition based on your UFC 5-round fights and your win condition based on your overall 5-round fights. And those are good tools to have to see what past performance has happened, and then you can determine what the pricing of the bet is according to those benchmarks that are given in the spreadsheet. So another cool feature of the Patreon here. Jonathan Edwards saying, what's your 2 favorite picks, whether it's a money line or over or under? So there's a 2-leg parlay that I was going to track. I was looking at it last night. on Bet Online, and it was just going to be very simply something that I'm going to lay a little bit of juice on, but I don't see Molly McCann losing. I just don't. I don't know how Bruna Berceau is going to beat her, and I'm very confident that Leon gets the win. So at minus 250 for Leon and minus 335 for Molly McCann, you get minus 122. And I'm thinking about putting like 1.25 units on that to win one. I think it's a really safe parlay this week, and that would be a two-leg parlay that I would be comfortable laying a little bit of juice on this week. And we got Moyes in the room saying, I'll never forget those aimless years. Street sounds swirling through my mind. Trouble was often in the air, so we fought to forget our despair. I'm a street player, says Moyes. Moyes is a music encyclopedia, and he can always come in here and give us a little bit of nostalgia to the songs that we used to love in years past. Shout out to my guy Moyes. Professor Chaos in the room saying, what's up, Weezy? Manel Cop line is getting out of hand. It is. You can fade the public here and get Cop at plus 145 right now. If Makayev just wrestles for the full 15 minutes, you could see Cop maybe getting controlled for 12 of it, landing a couple of big shots at range and being given the decision. So very, very interesting, man. You know, sometimes you want to be that guy that fades the public, that gets that, that just sits there and waits, as everybody that got Makayev at plus 115 made a big bet. But if you're laying minus 165 on him, maybe you're not getting the best price. So I don't mind it at all, Professor Chaos. We got Joshua saying, oi, what's up, brother? Any good parlays this weekend? So I just gave you the 4-legger. I gave you my little 2-legger here at minus 122 on Bet Online. That's what I'm going with this week. Dude, these lines are so juiced this week. Like my guy Tyler said earlier in the chat, that it's hard to find value in parlays. Abdi saying, do you like Marcin over significant strikes, 53.5? Okay. So I do have a tool that I don't release to the public because it's just too many spreadsheets. It's too much information. And people would not spend the time necessary to learn how to use it. But if we were to look at Bukauskas Prochnio, I see this fight taking place at distance striking range. So you can do a weighted average of Prochnio landing at distance and Bukauskas what he absorbs at distance, and kind of like get an idea for how many what the middle would be in terms of how many significant strikes is Prochnio going to land at distance in this fight. And if you take 69 minutes, so if we take 69.4 times 6.1, he's landed about 423 distance strikes in the UFC. And we could actually look at that number here and see 424 distance strikes. I got 423.34. But he's landed 424. Bukauskas has absorbed 232. So 424 plus 232 equals 656. Bukauskas has spent 53.9 minutes at distance striking range. So 53.9 plus Prochnio 69.8 or 69.38. So 69.4. So 123 minutes spent at distance striking range. Store that in 2. Recall 1, 656 divided by recall 2. So I'm predicting about 5.3 distance strikes per minute. So if you're like 5.3 and you think that the fight's going to go over 10 minutes, or you're going to get over 10 minutes of distance striking time in this fight, then I would like that over 53.5. I don't think Marcin has a lot of finishing equity in this fight. I don't think Bukauskas has a lot of finishing equity. In terms of Modestas Bukauskas has never landed a UFC takedown. Marcin Prachnio lands 0.2 takedowns. These guys attempt about 0.5 takedowns per 15 minutes on the aggregate. So I think we see mostly a distance striking battle. If somebody doesn't get knocked out early, I think Prachnio will get over 53.5 significant strikes. Morph knee. I mean, like we saw Khalil absolutely blow up the knee of Bukauskas. So yeah, I mean, maybe Prachnio does get a leg kick KO. I'm hoping not, because I got a bet on Prachnio by decision. Allen and Parsons are my locks, says Alex Cruz. I like Parsons this week as well, dude. I'm with you on that side. And then the Arnold Allen fight I didn't look into too much, but I do have a quarter unit on Arnold Allen by submission at like plus 850 or plus 900. Yes, sir, Weezy. I will play that instead of 1 or 2. There you go, man. Get that under 1.5 in there. Which fights can you see going the distance or going over? Well, there's several. I mean, Edwards Muhammad, Green Pimblet, I see going over. Arnold Allen Chikadze, I think probably goes over. Wood Pineda, I think goes over 1.5. I think Hadley Lawfren goes the distance, but I'm not confident at all because of the weight cut problems for both guys. I think Prachnio Bukauskas goes the distance. I think Makayev Kopp goes the distance. I think Parkin Bresky goes the distance, and I think Bannon Arteline probably goes the distance. Weezy, you have to toss 0.1 units on Bilal for Chicago. Need you on this. Dude, I don't need to, man. If Bilal wins, I'm happy. I'll lose a little bit of money, and I'll win that Leon's no longer champion, and that a guy that I think deserves it, and Bilal gets the win. But I'm betting with my mind, not with my heart here, and that's why I'm on Leon Edwards, because I just don't think they're going to give Bilal a fair shake. We will see, but yeah, dude, I'll be happy if Bilal wins. Trust me. I'll be saying, did you ever lock in the Steve Garcia round 3 doesn't start parlayed with Tom fight doesn't start at minus 103 last week? No, what I did was I had the Garcia under 1.5 parlayed with the Krzyzewski Halabaugh under 2.5. That was the probability parlay. So I did not do that one. And obviously Krzyzewski fight went over 2.5. So that busted the parlay at plus 180. But I loved that parlay. Garcia hit easily. The Garcia Choi fight finished in the first round, just like I thought it would. And the Krzyzewski Halabaugh fight had about 14 chances to finish. It just didn't happen. It's a great bet that didn't cash. Jeff saying, Molly, inside the distance, no action. Yeah, Bruno could get a win. But dude, if Bruno Brazil finishes Molly McCann, I would be absolutely slack-jawed. I would be like, no way did that just happen. Bilal split decision king. Yeah, no. Brandon saying, I like the idea of a shot on Arteline, but she looked terrible even for ceremonial weigh-ins. Yeah, short notice fight, short notice weight cut. And Brandon, she hasn't fought in almost a year, just like Shauna Bannon hasn't. So, I mean, it's a fight that was the easiest pass on the card for me. I am just staying away from that fight. Abdi saying, I have a tool myself, and I got it. Modestas absorbs average 56 significant strikes and decisions, and Marcin lands 89. Yeah, there you go. So I think that's a great over for Marcin Prachnio this week. Decision losses, Marcin is averaging 76, so that's good. You just got to hope that there's not a lot of grappling in the fight. Jonathan saying, thank you, Weezy. I love how you break down to every number. Yeah, man, that's what I do, dude. I got a statistics degree, so I'm big on the numbers, man. And Brandon saying, Shanna is so bad, but agreed, easy pass. It's a very, very easy pass. You guys, thank you for joining me. Good luck on all your bets for UFC 304. Hit that thumbs up on your way out. Hit that subscribe if you haven't already. Please consider leaving me a comment down below. That always helps with the algorithm. And please consider joining the Patreon. The Patreon's got access to all that information that you just saw and then some. Betting models for over-unders, betting models for prop bets, side-by-side stats for every fight on the card, the in-depth individual stats, the fight write-ups, access to the Discord, access to all the track bets. It's a great deal for $25 a month. So please consider joining that. That supports my work and it makes sure that I keep showing up here on YouTube for free for you guys. Thank you guys. God bless each and every one of you. And let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC 304. We'll see you guys later.